Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer. This is your host, Lisa Caslin. This summer is shaping up to be a busy one for the travel industry. In fact, some researchers are predicting travel from the US to Europe will increase by as much as 600% this year compared to last. As more people will be hitting the air, land, and sea, now's a good time to dust off some of those reliable travel apps or maybe download some new ones. Bayram Anakov, who is the CEO of App in the Air, is here to talk about this and to share some of his top travel app picks. How you doing, Bayram?
I'm good. How are you, Lisa?
I'm doing great, and it's so good to have you back. You have provided insight to us that was very valuable in the past. So I want to hear what you have to say about your favorite travel app. So what you got for us?
Yeah. So first of all, I really like the Marriott app, and uh, although some UX experts may say that they have some issues, but I really like the way they structured the functionality. And since I'm a Marriott and Hyatt guy, I can compare those two. And I'd say Marriott is much better. And I really like it. The other app I always use when I travel is Google Maps. Although I mean you can't book travel through Google Maps, but from the perspective of a guide, I think this is the great. If you want to find a great restaurant, I think Google Maps filtering by rating 4.5 plus rating gives you all the best restaurants in a given area. And it's funny how that 4.5 rating differs, say, for places like New York versus Boston. I mean, the kind of, or for instance, Poland, Warsaw, because the kind of restaurants that you get are different with such a high rating, and you get what the locals really like. For instance, in New York, that would be a fine dining restaurant typically. While in Warsaw, it's more like, I'd say, a really cool hipster place, I'd say. And so Google Maps does the job for me most of the times. In terms of the airline apps, I'd say that so far, Delta is the best. Delta's app is the best, and their functionality around the virtual queues and overall their innovation around the app, I think just is great. And although from technical perspective, I see many airline apps use what we in tech call web views, when you just actually you don't have an app, you actually open some of the web page inside the app. And sometimes even Delta uses that, but I'd say if Delta uses that in 10% of cases, other apps use it like in 70 or 80% of cases. And that's why the user experience is much, much better for Delta compared to some other airline apps.
Yeah, I think that the airlines have taken some time over this dry period to make some enhancements. I think United has made some interesting changes too, with regard to seat selection and things of that nature. So when it comes to, I mean, you travel a lot yourself, right? I mean, I forget what you quoted last time. How many miles do you travel a year?
So hours, about 500 hours. So around around I think 200, 300,000 miles. Yeah.
Okay,
like
so
yes.
you've got a lot of points.
Yeah.
How do how do you what's your secret for kind of managing that and really utilizing them so you can get, upgrades or other perks?
Well, since I'm the CEO of App in the Air, actually I track all of that in App in the Air, and that just gives me the overview of all the points I have and stuff like that. So that's the go-to app for me, and really so because of the functionality to track all the loyalty programs in one place. Yeah, so that's how I do it.
All right. So tell me, we have to give App in the Air a little bit of a plug here because it is a great tool. So for and our readers and viewers are predominantly frequent flyers, and I know your tool is built for the frequent flyer. So talk a little bit about how App in the Air works and why it's a benefit to frequent flyers.
Yeah, so one of the things that for me as a frequent flyer are important is to not lose your status or even to make it to the next level, right? If you're, say, not on the top level. And the first thing to manage anything is to measure anything. So how do you measure, how do you track your miles across all of the airline and hotel programs? That's the first question. And we have what we call a wallet functionality that basically lets you track the miles across the different airline and hotel programs, and that helps you to measure. So how much do I have right now? How much is left till the next level? And the second thing is that when you make decisions, booking decisions, you want to have information about your balances, so that you know how, for instance, when you choose from a couple of Alaska fares, for instance, and you want to know how many miles you will get, and how that helps you to get to the next level. So what we did is that when you book your flight, we actually show you how many miles you're going to get for this fare versus that fare, and that helps you. And of course, at the checkout, I mean, you don't remember all of your loyalty program numbers, right?
No.
And you want that to be automatically pre-populated for your booking, and that's what we do. So that helps me, leave that out of my head, so that important stuff is in my head. You have to memorize not so important stuff, and the smartphone does that for me. So that's great.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So what do you do? Do you use anything to help you out at various airports? I mean, there's a lot of amenities there that you can take advantage of. Is there any, go-to tool that you use? Doesn't have to be an app, anything.
Sure. So first of all, my problem, I think that I'm a freaking flyer, and I know the airports, at least I'd say 95% of them. And, the kind of like when I get the status update about the gate assigned from App in the Air, and it says, say, N2 at SeaTac, I know it's a North Terminal. I know I will have to ride the train. So I know it's near the Hudson where I'm gonna buy a bottle of water and stuff like that. I really know the airports, but I think for the leisure travelers, especially those who are gonna fly this summer, Google and Apple Maps actually do a great job of helping you navigate through most of the airports in U.S. in most of the biggest airports in U.S. and some of the airports in worldwide. So I would strongly recommend, because I think they even send you a push notification that, hey, actually we have maps in this airport, and that's very handy. And that helps me a lot to navigate the airport I don't know. And I would recommend you.
And they're free, right? Which is
and they're free,
which is
course.
always a good thing. Okay. Any final words of advice? Anything that we need to know that I maybe didn't ask you about making your travel easier using technology or anything?
Sure. I would just, it's amazing for me how when I learned that some people, when they travel, they forgot to download their favorite TV series or movies. So make sure when you travel this summer, make sure to download them, because it might be the case that the movies that are part of the IFE system are not the ones you like, or there's no IFE
They don't have a
system.
movie. I just came back from Colombia. They had no movie. I was shocked.
Exactly. So this is not the app, but just open your Netflix or HBO and whatever you're like, and just download those things before departure. I think that's something that people forget, but
Yep.
then they really regret in flight.
Yep. Not really good advice. Okay. So if we want to learn more about App in the Air, where do we go? What's the site?
It's appenair.com.
Couldn't be any easier. Thank you so much for joining us again,
Thank you.
Bayram. See you again soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.